Hello, Gunpla fans. This is Biohazard, and today for you guys, I have for you a very interesting review, my friends, because today I'll be reviewing the well-known and rumored Biohazard Claw, aka the Red Soul Nighthawk, aka RG style Nightingale. Now, real quick, my friends, before we get started with the review, I'll explain real quick about the Biohazard part of it, and that is this, my friends. Last year, I think it was, when this kit was officially released, a number of posts started popping up about builders having allergic skin reaction to the plastic here, and it was just spreading all over the place of a number of people having the same reaction. Now, do note, I don't have any confirmation or like specific details on how accurate that detail was. But simply put, after a while that started popping up, a number of fans, of course, did believe it at first. But after some time, it started to not be as believable because it seemed like a number of those posts were just, rumor speculation. There was no like physical proof. There were a couple posts that showed people's hands and such with skin reaction and such like that, but there really wasn't much else after that. In fact, it's funny because a number of fans started to believe that it was actually a rumor started by Bandai themselves to have this canceled. Now, in my opinion, of course, I don't really think Bandai would go that far because, as many who have followed my channel or any of my other social medias will know, is that a number of other brands have been producing their own line of bootleg or other Gundam slash Gunpla related kits that, well, Bandai would probably target more than this. And the reason I say it because, yes, for a number of fans who will know, this design of the Nightingale is, from what I know, is based off of the Bandai Candy toy, the Artifact version, the little small ones. But as you can see, this is a full size kit version. But like I said, I don't really think Bandai would go that far in this case because it just seems like it just seems way too shady and just silly in that sense, because in many ways, and many will know this, if Bandai wanted a third party to be taken down, they wouldn't just go behind the scenes deal. No, they go full military. More, or in more specific cases, they'll just literally have the police involved and get it shut down. They've done it before. So in this one's case, if they were to take it down, I probably would bet they'd go that route than the, let's do it behind the scenes deal. I just don't see that. That'd just be too funny. But like I said, friends, that just seemed to be the case for some time, and it just seems the rumor just was that more of a rumor, I guess. There wasn't 100% concrete. And note, my friends, before I started to do this model, I did take some time and do some research, and I actually chatted with a number of fellow builders who did build this model. And in fact, I even chatted with fellow reviewers like Prime92 and Dell, who both told me they did not have any issues with their plastic at all. And a number of those builders told me they themselves have skin allergy issues, but did not have any reaction to this. And note this, friends, I myself do have skin allergy issues, and this year, I can tell you for a fact, has been a pain on me left and right. But as you can see, I've had no reaction to this plastic, so you can see it and such. So honestly, my friends, I don't really think the rumor is 100% legit. I just can't confirm like how, if any of those previous rumors, like if any of them were probable or legit. Honestly, I do have to say, but I think in the most case, I don't think it is. But if you want my fair opinion, friends, when I did unbox this kit, I myself and a number of fellow reviewers and builders noticed that for some reason the gray plastic on the kit, the runners had a strange odor to them. Nothing like overwhelming to the point of toxic or anything, but was noticeable. So, like anyone else would, I decided to take a small tub that I would use for other cleaning and such, and I decided to just completely wash all the runners of this kit. And it's a very simple process. There are, of course, many ways you can do it, many tools and so forth and such. For me, I just used a more simpler method. I just warm water, some normal Dawn soap, and I just let it sit for for a bit, and just there you go, let it dry, and it was fine. And yes, after that, the smell had completely just gone. There was no smell after that. So if you were to pick this kit up, friends, I would definitely recommend you wash the parts just in case. You never know. It can't hurt. I mean, this thing's going to take you a while to build, trust me. So, a few extra minutes isn't going to hurt it. Trust me on that one. Well, yes. So that I can definitely say for that, my friends. Now, of course, let's get into the full review. Starting with the flaws. I say that first because a fellow number of builders were mentioning the flaws they went through with this kit. So yes, this kit does have some flaws. Now, are they like horrifically, I'm gonna blow my brains batshit crazy kind of deal? No, it's nothing that terrible. Um, it's definitely some of it is annoying, I will say. For example, and this is a notable one that many mentioned, is the leg sections. During the assembly, there are some fitting problems that, well, you're going to want to squeeze real hard, which a number did tell me they did. But one fact I can give you, friends, that will help with that little issue is that if you take, like you see here, a small sanding tool like this one, and adjust the peg holes a bit. That actually helped me in this case because a lot of the fitting problems I had were just, they literally started to feel a lot easier, simpler, and it fixed a number of them with no problems. But yes, that is something to note when you're building this kit, is that, and other such issues, which I'll get into in a minute. One other notable thing I've noticed is there are some tight sections that honestly, in a good sense, is not bad, because a lot of cases you worry it's too loose and the arm will, or leg or something will fall off. Not in this case, no. I've had no issues with that, but I've noticed with like the shoulder sections here are a bit tight. I'm not too worried, honestly, but it can be a kind of tightness that you might be a little concerned if you pull too, try to adjust it too much and you might break something. So do keep that in mind. I've hadn't had that issue, of course, but that is something I've noticed. But it's nothing that can't be fixed either, as well. One other notable issue I've had is armor fitting, and what I mean by that is some of the armor on certain sections are a little loose to the point where if you hit it the right way, it can pop off. Which, of course, if you use like a hobby cement or something like that, can fix that problem. No big. For example, like up here on the verniers and such, like this piece here, it stays on no problem, but it can pop off easily too. So if you use a bit of cement, like I said, that should fix that problem and such. Now, other than that, I really didn't have any other issues with my copy. I mean, I took my time. I wanted to, check it over. And if you guys saw my short, or the Haro test drives, I call them, of the inner frame of this kit, it'll show you more of the articulation that you can do with it before adding the armor on. So, check that out, please, if you want to learn more about that. Other than that, articulation with the armor really isn't bad at all. It's pretty decent for what we're looking at. I mean, we're talking about the Nightingale here, guys. I mean, it's not going to pull off no RG Shining Gundam posing now. Don't get me wrong, that would be crazy if this could do that. That would be epic. But honestly, though, the posability isn't bad. Honestly, I mean, I thought this thing would topple over a few times, really, but it still holds up pretty well. I mean, other than the back section here, which you see there's a mini stand in the back that you have to use to hold it up. But I mean, if you remove it real quick so you guys can see this piece here, that's it. It'll just sit back, so to speak. So all you got to do with this is just, of course, lift this section up and just adjust that, and there you go. There, it'll hold it up, no problem. Let's see. Now, before we get into playing with this, of course, let's get into the accessories real quick, because I figured to go through that first before tackling this. And that is notable, you will have leftovers within this kit, oddly enough. I was surprised, actually, because I didn't think there would be this much. And for example, as you can see here, this is a complete baggie worth of leftover just extras. You don't use any of these extra pieces except for like a couple small pieces for like the arms and such. But everything else you see in here is just extras of already assembled parts you already have on it. So in other words, when they released this kit, guys, to make it simple, they just gave you duplicate runners, meaning whatever runner pieces you're not going to need because you've already filled it up. You got extras. So in case you break something or something, well, you got a few extra parts, right? So that's a good, actually. That's a plus. Other than that, you will, of course, have, like you see here, the number of beam sabers, if you're wondering. As you can see right here, which I connect into the hands with no problems. And are really cool because it's like that neon green color. So if you have any fun neon lights, that would be really cool with these. And I've already checked them out with the hands. They hold in pretty good. And you can attach it to the claw pieces that are behind the skirts here. So you got that. Now, unfortunately, you do not get the Nightingale's axe that a number of them would have. So sadly, you don't get that piece. Sorry, guys. But, I mean, the beam sabers are pretty nice, so I like that. And like you see here with this hand piece I already have set up, it also has articulation as well. Though do be careful when assembling these because if they can be a bit tight, like I mentioned already, so you can get it stuck in there. So if you're going to assemble these, you might need to sand a few of them just in case. Let's see, you get extra hands of closed fist hands, trigger hands, of course, for the gun, and a stand piece right here. And other than that, the shield, of course, the gun, funnels, and of course the mini stand I already showed you in the back there, so you can see that. And that's pretty much all the accessories for that, and everything else is on here and such. So real quick, let's bring it over so you guys can see this real quick. As you guys can tell, this thing's got a lot of detail on it. It's really cool. I definitely like that about this kit. It's unique from the regular version, which nothing wrong with the regular. It's just really cool to see a design like this pop up every once in a while and such. Now for articulation real quick, let's go into the upper sections first. You can do a full 360 with the arm, as you can see, even with the gun in its hand. And as for the elbow, you can go pretty much almost all the way and such. And as you can see, it holds up pretty well. It doesn't fall or anything. And there's an extra joint here in the shoulder to extend out, as you guys can see, giving you extra range of motion with no problem and such. And like I said, for with the tight shoulders, I think it could cause damage, but I've had no issues with mine, so I don't think you have to worry too much. And you can, of course, bend the arm like that if you want. And like I said, some of those sections are a bit tight. You can go all the way around with the arm that way as well, no issue. So that's pretty good. I definitely like that. So you got plenty of posability with the arms, so that's good. And as for the waist section real quick, you can pretty much go full 360, when you're not got the weapons attached. And I haven't had any looseness with anything with the waist, so there's that. And you, of course, as you can see, you do have articulation points for the front skirts, the side skirts, and so forth for that. And as I mentioned earlier, this skirt here, let me take this off so you can see it, has a mini claw, which all you got to do is just take it out like such. And pretty much you can pose it in certain ways that would allow it to hold on to a beam saber and so forth, which is really cool. I like that. Though, just like I mentioned before, there is some tightness to it, but as you can see, it swings around as many ways as possible with no probs and such like that. It does have full range here for the claw. So you definitely have some fun there. I definitely like that. It's pretty cool. And it's easy to just, put back. There you go. And it's on a ball joint set up here, so works fine there. It doesn't get loose, fall down too much. Other than that, you can extend the armor out. Oh, should have done that first. Right about here, I believe, if I remember correctly. Right here. See? Nothing big, but it's a cool gimmick. There. Now, real quick, let's go into the back here so you guys... Actually, real quick, let me take the shield off so you guys can see other such articulation points easier. Such as the legs, because like I mentioned, that is a tricky part, but you can bend pretty much all the way up without bumping into too much armor. Same with the back. You can go pretty much almost all the way without armor. Once again, certain sections of armor can move out of the way, of course. Now, if you're wondering, this does have some extra feet articulation like you see here. You can move it side to side for certain posing, of course. And if you're wondering, there is an extra joint here which allows the foot to be to go that far and such like that. And as for the knee, pretty much about here as I said before. And the thigh can go about that high and such. So it's not like super articulated points, but then again, we are talking about the Nightingales, so I wasn't expecting like huge amounts in that sense. As for like the verniers, there is a joint setup, of course, up here that would allow you to extend it up and down and such. Now there isn't like a up joint at all. There's no swivel there. Sorry, it just locked into place to this setup, but you can turn it at this point if you're wondering. So you can do that, and all the little verniers in here do have articulation, but I must mention this because it was in the manual as well. When you do assemble this section, it mentions to use glue as well. I didn't use it yet because so far it's holding up just fine, but it does mention that because when you do this, you gotta literally assemble this all together at one time. You can't do individually. So do keep that in mind when you're building yours as well. And other than that, there's some armor pieces that can flap up and down and such. And if you're wondering, yes, you can detach the funnels here like such, so you guys can see a better look of it. And if you, of course, have a stand piece, you can attach it to it with no problem. And will attach easily back onto the binder with no issue in any way you wish. Now, let's take a look at the back here so you can all see better on the details, though there are no articulation points at this point. But real quick, let me put this back into place so you guys can see the really nice detailing back here. And as you can see, the fuel tanks have articulation points that you can move back and forth, up and down, and so forth. Nothing much, but there you go. And such like that. As you can see, all the nice detailing now from this angle, you can see all the color separation and such that you can see, though yes, there are some fitting issues back here, like here on the back skirt a little bit that I noticed when assembling this. And now let's take a look at such posability. The fuel tank stayed loose, but nothing, abnormal. It's not uncommon and such. And so forth like that. And now let's take some better look at some other sections. Like you see here, some of this area here had some issues that you can easily fix with some hobby cement with no problem, and such like that. And real quick now, of course, let's turn them around so you guys can now see better. First off, let me show you the shield now real quick. As you can see, it has articulation points with the ball joint and a swivel in the joint there on the side, allowing you to pose in multiple ways for the shield when attached to the arm. Really nice. And as you can see, the detailing on this is really cool. And yes, there are some decals you can add to the shield if you'd like for the extra accuracy and such, or if not, I prefer as is because it just looks really cool with all the color separated parts and such. But here now, let me reattach it to the arm real quick. As you can see, all you got to do is just peg it back into the arm, and it will hold up pretty well with no issue. And even attached to the shoulder, it doesn't really weigh it down as much. Now, quickly, let's look at the head's articulation. It's easy, and as you might have seen in my inner frame test, it can be a little loose, but as you can see, it has a simple neck joint and such, but it poses pretty well. I've had no issues with it, and even with all the armor there, it doesn't really get in the way too much. But it's really cool though how well the everything looks, and the mono eye looks really nice on it as well. Now let's take a quick look here. Better view of it now so you can see it all. Now let's do some size comparisons with this very big 144 unit, like with my HG Sazabi Evolve unit. It is an awesome older kit I still like, but it's really cool now to have it with this new Nightingale unit. And definitely because of the size, as you guys can see, it's much smaller than you would think. But it's, of course, the Nightingale and Sazabi, so of course there's a big difference, literally. But it's really cool to have these two together now because I'm building a collection of these third-party Char designs. Another unit I could show you is, of course, my SD model comprehends Nightingale. As you guys could definitely tell the difference in size. But it's so cool to have so many versions and units to put with it, and it is nice to have these two together from SD to RG scale. It's really cool. And of course, while we're at it, I have to, of course, show it off with a well-known unit of it, and that is its mortal enemy, the High New Gundam, which in this case is the Model Comprehends HG version, but I figured it is the best version to compare it with since these two are both third-party variations and such. And as you can definitely see the difference in height and size between these two, it is really an interesting setup. I definitely like it. I definitely do. And such like that. And now, my friends, my final thoughts on this kit. Well, let's first go into the rumor real quick. As I mentioned before, friends, I don't really think the rumor is 100% legit, friends. And I can say, at least if you take the measures of cleaning it, it's just an extra precaution just because, but I don't think it will hurt anyone, especially for how much you have to build. And as I showed you before, guys, my hands and skin had no reaction to it even after cleaning it, so it's definitely not a bad idea, at least. But if you do want to hear from others' experience, please check out reviewers like Prime92 and Dell for their experience on the model, so you guys get an idea in comparison with theirs. And check out with other builders as well to see what their thoughts were and their instance of their plastic was as well. But other than that, friends, I'm not really, like I said, I don't believe the rumor 100%. So there's that, my friends, if that helps in any way with your decision on this model. Now, as for the actual model itself, it's definitely not a bad kit, friends. I have built my fair share of bad kits. And this one, with some minor issues with fitting and such, which is not the first time I've seen with other third-party kits, and easily fixable in many ways. I could definitely say if this isn't a bad idea, or at least if you want to check out a big RG-like kit like this one, would be a pretty cool idea. Plus, if you happen to be a Char fan or anything like that, this would be a really cool unit to add to your collection, of course. And honestly, it's a nice design too, especially when you compare it to the Artifact design. I mean, that's amazing how they turned that little thing into this. I mean, that's fun. I mean, I'd love to see more Artifact designs get big kit releases. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want that, right? But yeah, I mean, that's just my thoughts there, friends. So if you are gonna check this out, I could definitely say, sure, go right ahead. I don't think it's a bad kit. And even with the rumor, like I said, I still think it's a fun idea. And if you have a collection of RGs or Char units and such, this would look really cool next with all of them. So yeah, I think this isn't a bad kit to check out, friends. So that is it for today, my friends. As always, I thank you always for coming. I do hope you're enjoying your hobbies. And of course, I do hope to see you in my next review. Thank you all for coming, my friends.